Welcome to the first C++ tutorial based on creating variables. We're going to have three major learning objectives for this session today. The first one starts off with understanding the use of variables. Second one is understanding the 5 basic concepts or C++ data types we're going to use throughout this course. And the third one is understanding the use of different data types. So creating variables. A variable is like an empty container within a C++ program in which a data value can be stored inside a program's memory. The stored value can be referred using a variable name. So it's very similar to a concept of you creating an empty box and labeling the box. The programmer or designer can choose any name for the variable, which obviously adheres to the C++ naming conventions, which in other words means you can start a variable name with anything you like without a digit. So you could have a name with a digit within the name, but you cannot start the name of your variable with a digit. So this is a section in green. I think that's the very important part which you might have to take a note of. Obviously, as we're creating boxes itself, it's very important that we name these boxes with a meaningful name. Otherwise, as we start programming, it might be very difficult to understand what this variable does or what kind of a value this variable holds. So when you wanted to create a variable, it's a very simple kind of a structure. We're going to look at the different data types on the next slide, but it is the data type first of all, and then we have a variable name separated by a semicolon, as you can see up here. We can create within one line one variable, or in the example below, we can create multiple variables. And how we do that is the data type stays the same, and we might have 3 different variables we create separated by a comma, and at the end of the command we have a semicolon to end the command. These are the 5 basic data types you're going to look at throughout this C++ tutorial. The first one is a char. The char can only hold one character. As an example up here, char, and it holds a value of an A. Just one character, A. The second variable we're going to look at today is your integer, which is in short form is int, which can hold a whole number. Any number you like, but making sure it's a whole number without any decimal points. The third variable is considered float, and float can hold a value of a number, but up to 6 decimal points, as an example up here. If you're thinking of creating a value with multiple decimal points, which are more than 6, we can use the variable called double. And double, in our sense up here, is going to be holding up to 10 decimal points. The last one we're going to look at today is your boolean. Now boolean in a very simple format considers 1 or 0, 0 or 1, true or false, on and off. So it's very similar to a light switch. Now we've got a program up here which we're going to jump on in a second, but first of all let's have a look at how to start off with the understanding of this program. The first line itself is your library. Now if we have these different data types, as I will circle them up for you up here, which are the 5 we looked at just in the previous slide, they have to be understood by the C++ program. And how it understands that is by all of these 5 variables are present in the library. The library has to be associated to the program, which is the first line in your program, and making sure that you use hash include, and the name of the library in this case is iostream. The second line we're going to look at later on within the course, and the third line starts with int main, which starts the program. Every C++ program has to start with int main and a curly bracket, as you can see up here. Now what we have created up here is a char letter, which in our case, if we start creating some boxes, so the first line itself, as we understood, separates the command with a semicolon, which is based up here. So the first box we're going to create, straw box up here, and we know the characteristics of that box is a char, so we write down char on the top, and the box label name is this one up here, which is letter. So this is the first box. As we separate the command with a semicolon, we jump onto the second command, which is based up here, and it says the box called letter should hold a value of A. So let's put an A into our box, and that's the end of the second command. Let's jump on to the next line, which is based up here, and it says let's create a box, an empty box, and the characteristics is int, and the box is going to be called, as you can see up here, is number. So we call it number. The second command, based up here, talks about putting the value of 100 into the box of number. So let's put that in there. Good. So these two lines are done. Let's jump on to the next one, which is based up here. This is the third box we're going to create. So again, an empty container. The characteristics is a float. So if we think about what a float should hold, a float will hold a value up to 6 decimal points, and the box name is called decimal, and the value we put into this box is 7.5. Good. That box is done as well. Let's look at the second to last box. Let's draw a box up here. It's an empty container again, and the box characteristics is a double. So if you remember what we've done before, double can hold a value up to 10 decimal points, and the box is called pi. And the value you put in there is 3.14159. Box is a bit short. And the last box is going to be true or false. So it's going to be a bool. It's going to be called is true. You put the value in there is false. Good. So that's all sorted up. Let's look at what we do after. So this program, what we've done up here, which I'll circle up for you, is creating a program with multiple boxes, and these boxes hold different values. Now, the second line up here, or the second section up here, which is marked up on the side up here, is a shout out message. So see out, if you want to remember that as shout out, what it does, it starts calling each box and asking what's in the box. So if you jump onto the next program, or the next slide, sorry, we can see that the program has been executed, and this section up at the bottom is what the answer should look like. So this line up here, what it says, shout out char letter, and then in this section up here, we have the name called letter. And what it is asking, if we go one slide back, is what is in the box called letter. In our case, we have the value of A. So representation of your output would be char letter, which is based up here, and then colon, then A. The second one is very similar as well, and the value up here is asking what is in the box called number. In our case, the box holds a number of 100, the value of 100. So the representation on the next slide, as we will see in a second, is that the output will be 100 in that place. Float decimal, again, the box name is called decimal. In our case, it's the third box we created. It's asking what is in the box decimal. In our case, it's 7.5. The next one is pi, and the value of pi is 3.1415, which is represented in the fourth box we created. And the last one is true, and the value in that is false. So let's jump on to the next slide. Let's have a look what the results are. So as we said, the first box is going to hold the value of A. As you can see up here, the answer is A. The second box, which was based up here, was called number, and the box number, as we discussed earlier, was holding the value of 100. The next one is 7.5, that's for float, which holds up to 6 decimal points. Next one is pi, which holds up to 10 decimal points. And boolean, false equals 0, so the value of that box is 0. So this is a basic C++ program, which basically asks the user to create empty containers or empty boxes, labels them, puts a value into the box, and then the cout messages, which as you can see up here, which is from line 13 to line 17, is basically asking the C++ compiler that I would like to know what's in each box, and what it is doing is in the section below, is outputting what each box holds. What we have on the side in each of the tutorials we're going to have is tips on the side, which I recommend that you go through, and it kind of deepens the understanding of what this session was holding in regards to the information. It's a very simple C++ program. All you need to remember as a recap is quickly, you have the library on the top, which holds all the data types and the values of each data type. So it's the understanding of what char, int, float, double, and bool is supposed to hold, or what the values characteristics we use. And then we section up here, which is from line 13 to line 18, sorry, to line 17. We have the shout out messages, which is C out. So if I write it out for you, I'm going to be calling it shout out. And what it is asking is, what is the value of each box? And what the program is doing is just basically going into the data memory, or the C++ compiler's memory, going into each box, asking what do you hold, and the value, whatever is in each box, gets outputted in the cout messages. Then we have, to enter program, we use this return 0 kind of a structure, which allows to have an output screen. And at the end, as we started the program with a semicolon, sorry, with a curly bracket, we stop the program with a curly bracket, which in your case is the line number 20. I hope you enjoyed the first tutorial, and if you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, well done. First tutorial sorted. Let's jump on to the next one later on.